Hello everyone, welcome to Sundray SCWA training. For this session, we're going to talk about a rule assignment for access control. For this one, we have three parts. First, we introduce the rule for this rule function. And second, we introduce how to configure the rule assignment. Third one is a usage case about this function. Um, First, the rule for the sundries in the sundries controller, a rule is a collection and a carrier of policy. For each user who accesses the wireless network, our controller, after the finish application, we will assign a rule. So for this rule, it can be bundled with four policy like access control policy, application audit policy, bandwidth policy, and contact policy. Let's say it one by one. First is about the access control policy. This one we can use a rule like to block some service, like block HTTP service, block FTP service, and also can be application layers to block the WeChat, to block Facebook, to block YouTube, to block some illegal websites. So this is access control policy. Here we can do the configuration in the service, in the rules. There we end the access control policy. In policy, we can choose the service, or also we can choose the applications. Right now, Sundry has more than 5,000 applications a year in the 10 million a year database. So for this, also can be based on the e direction, stat direction, inbound or outbound, and also for the action can be allowed or denied. Audit policy is to audit users' online behavior and like traffic variations. So the configuration to use this audit function, we need to enable the audit service in application center service management, and also the second screenshot shows the features we can enable when we do the audits. For audits, internal mode, all the versions supports. But for the if you want to do the audit in the bridge mode, um, and its version should be nearer than the 3.7. And also we need to know that in the bridge mode, it doesn't support audit users, internet traffic, and duration. And another one is the policy, bandwidth policy. This one can configure the bandwidth limitation for each terminals. You can see that inbound rates, outbound rates. Quota policy. This one can configure the quota quanta of like time or quanta of the traffic per device per day or per month, and oh yeah, daily. You can see the first one, we can control this one, use the 3 hours Wi-Fi per day. And second one, if we do the flow quanta, that's me, we allow this device to use a specific amount of the flow, like daily like the 1 gigabit, 2 gigabit per day, and 100 gigabit per month, like this. We can have this kind of the policy for our Wi-Fi use. And also here's advanced options in the rules. For the specific rule, we can authenticate if DNS request control. If we enable this one, let me for this group, for people with this rule, when the have the DHCP request. We have the DNS request. This message will be copied and sent to our controller. If we have the policy that not allow this specific application or website, it will be blocked. So DNS request control policy usually can be used in the bridge mode. In the bridge mode, we just copy the DNS packet to our controller, and our controller say, "Oh, this is visit the Facebook." And according to our access control policy, Facebook is not allowed to follow this rule, the rule of guests. So it should be a block. And also have e-bound access control. This one just for the to 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 uh to make the wireless connections more secure. For example, right now for this client, but that means this client is not. If this client, the rule is like the stuff, and in this stuff we enable this client access control. That's me for the datas. uh, if the some users want to scan this our stuffs, actually their ARP broadcast mechanism, it cannot go into this station. So that is inbound access control. Here's inbound or outbound. It's in the perspective of the stations. The next one is the next one is the outbound access control. What outbound control is have the control is just allow the specific traffic go to the AP from the station, from the from these terminals. And inbound and outbound control can make this can improve the security level of this Wi-Fi network to protect the message we can receive from the terminals, and we can send out from this terminal to the APs. So for security reasons, we can configure these advanced options. But sometimes, right, you can see there if you, for example, you're enable client access control. If you do not choose to allow to use the ping, you cannot ping the Wi-Fi users from one to another one. So we need to sometimes we need to, if we deploy it after we deploy the Wi-Fi in the client and they wanted to ping each other, they cannot ping. We need to check this configuration. Now let's see the rule assignment, how we can cite these rules. First we just take this access control policy example. We create a policy, and then we use this policy. Access control policy is a rule. The rule name is block YouTube, and then we create a SSID. I did the AP configuration. WLAN, we choose SSID, and then we go into its guest authentication. Here according to is we can use the rules like different place or different authentication methods. We assign the different rule. We can just use the default rule, and also you can use it in the controller wired authentication. For this one, you can configure the authentication, internal captive photo server, and the web authentication policy. In here, this means after the user uses the controller interface wired authentication, we can also cite a rule. For this rule, we can use specific policies. And also, we can use this rule when our controller works as a photo server. In this situation, we can cite the rule to the clients, to the stations that connect to other brand APs. But in this situation, we should be noted that the policy bothered with this rule will not work because our controller cannot manage the APs, and also cannot the traffic is not going through our controller, so we cannot do the access control. We cannot use the policies. Also, we can use the rule in the flow control. It's a flow control for to achieve the like guarantee or limitation flow control based on the applications, or then we can decide to with the specific rules. Okay, so after the user finish application or before the user finish connect to the uh, arrive in, we can see it's a rule in the online standards. Now let's have to see that some classic usage case for this rule. First, for example, here's a requirement like they want to give the boss a higher bandwidth with the connected network, but for the employees with the connected the limitation to 10 bps, they have this requirement. So here we can create two rules. First, one rule is for the boss, another rule is for the staff. For the rule for the boss, we don't have the bandwidth limitation policy, and for the staff, we do have this limitation. At the rule assignment here, we can cite the staff. Yeah, in the default, it first matches like if the username is the username is a boss, we will cite the rule a boss. If this rule is not be matched, we will cite the staff. Okay, second one is design a guest visit Ethernet subnet. For example, here's a network. There has a network. There is for the users Ethernet. The subnet is usually the 192.168.10/24, and also they provide the Wi-Fi for the guests. But for the guests, they are not allowed to visit these subnets. So we can control IP group. This is IP group for the staff to use, and then we control access policy that we choose the service. The service we choose all any services, mean all the service. We choose all the service. That mean all the service that if the destination is this staff IP group, it will be denied. And then we control this. We configure a policy, and this is a policy. We use this deny 10 the subnets. Then we cite this rule to the guest. That means when the guest finish authentication, they were not allowed to connect our network. Not to visit that local subnets. Okay, so this part is for the rule assignment. Thank you.